My name is Chad LeJeune. I am 38 years old. We're in Mobile, Alabama.
My name is Hollie LeJeune, and I'm 59 years old, and I'm talking to my wonderful son.
First off, I want to talk to you a little bit about how it has affected your life growing up on the Gulf Coast.
The seafood on the Gulf Coast was always important. Papa Allen would bring 50-pound sacks of oysters in the shell at Christmas time, and Daddy and all the men would stay outside shucking oysters and drinking beer and talking, and my grandmother would come out and say, stop drinking beer and start shucking oysters or there's not going to be any fried. And then when we were young adults, Daddy always took us deep sea fishing. When you guys were little, we'd go out and we'd catch snapper and bull dolphin, but it was just a feast. The abundance was so amazing. We just took for granted that we'd always have that.
Yeah. So you spend 5 years in the Philippines, you come back, suddenly an opportunity is given to you to get into lo and behold, the seafood industry.
Well, you know firsthand that you and your brother wanted to work with your dad.
That's right.
So, we'd all been in the process of looking for something. Walked into the seafood market that we had shopped at for a couple of years, and the place was in chaos, and we looked at the young owner and said, what's going on? And she said, I've got to sell this place. Within 30 days, we were selling beautiful Gulf seafood.
Right.
Everybody knows what good seafood tastes like here. We all grew up eating it, and you can't go in the grocery store and get that same quality. So we knew what we had to be good.
Let's talk about a little bit about the Gulf spill. What would you say your initial reaction to the explosion? What were your thoughts?
The first thing you think is those poor families of the 11 people that died. Your heart goes out to them, and then it's surely there's mechanisms. They just turn the knob, and
Exactly.
the fire goes out, and the oil's contained, and that's that. So I absolutely never thought that it would affect our business. We had gone from we'll tighten up and we'll tweak this and we'll tweak that to is there anything that's going to be left?
Yeah.
It was unbelievable how bad it had gotten in a few weeks' time. As the bookkeeper, I got to look at the numbers every day. By the middle of June, you and Robin came over and we sat down at the table and we put the cell phone in the middle of the table and called Dad and put him on speakerphone and said, what do you want to close first?
Let's talk about the first time that we had to sit down and start getting the paperwork together for a claim, if you can. All right, I'm going to move on to something Go ahead.
It was like grieving for a death. You guys had worked so hard and had built this wonderful business. And in, 6 weeks' time, it was gone. And the day that I went down to the bayou to stand in line to file that BP claim, I sat there with the file agent and cried because, difficult thing.
Absolutely.
To ask for help because we had no alternative.
I want you to talk a little bit about some of the things that you've had to do out of necessity and created unique experiences that are amazing.
Well, we had a reporter come out and take pictures of the market and the customers that we had, and our reader sign out front. And they had run a picture of that and a story of, us struggling, and we had filed with BP. And so Joe Bonner's office called and said, the vice president's going to be down. He's going to have a roundtable discussion with some of the people affected by the oil spill.
Right.
Would you be willing to do that? And I said, well, sure. In my mind, it was me and 50 other people in a big room with him standing there,
photo op,
waving.
Right.
So when I got there that morning, it ended up there were actually 5 of us who sat down with the vice president. As Dad would say, I've gone out of my comfort zone. I'm not grandma. I've been some kind of warrior or something. Somebody else that's standing up in front of this delegation from the government to anybody that'll listen, because I've been fighting for the business.
Right.
I've been fighting for you guys' livelihood.
The vice president's office, have they kept in contact since then? That was in July.
Yes, they have. That has been amazing, too. They've been very, I would say, attentive. And, you know, Chad, it's just made me realize what a wonderful country we live in, because, you know, I don't have any kind of political connections.
Right.
Dad and I have no money.
Right.
There's no reason for me to have the opportunity to sit down with the Vice President of the United States and share my concerns with him, other than I'm a citizen of this country. Only in America could that happen.
Right.
It's just so amazing.
Absolutely. Having gone through this, as we're still going through it, what advice would you give that person that's going through a tough time?
Well, I would tell them that the rain falls on the just and the unjust alike. That if we live long enough, we're going to have unpleasant things happen in our lives. And if we just remember to enjoy the sunshine, because we all know it's going to rain at some time. So, you know, you just have to keep going. You have to keep going.